Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Saturday. I'm getting a late start to the vlog today. It is currently 5:06 p.m. Well, later than I have been lately. 5:06 p.m. on this gray and dreary Saturday, the 28th, December 28th day. Let's see what the weather is. Actually, I don't even need a coat, and I have on my Birkenstock sandals, so it's not too cold outside. Let's see what the temperature is. The temperature is currently, oh, it's 58. It's almost 60 degrees. It's 58 and mostly cloudy. So I think the next couple days it's supposed to get, well, after New Year's, I think it's supposed to get cold. Hold on a second. Let's look and see. Keeps on changing. Tomorrow, 55 and rainy. Oh, today, there's a chance of rain 100%. So we're supposed to get rain later. It doesn't look like it's really rained much today. Maybe a little bit, but not, it says 1 to 2 inches. It hasn't rained that much. 55 tomorrow and rain. 46 on Monday, cloudy. 45 on Tuesday, and then it drops down to 32, 34, 26. Oh, it's gonna be cold after New Year's. Oh, is there a chance of snow? Chance of snow next Sunday, the 5th. So, looks like I'm gonna be able to add some snow days to my snow list. A couple of announcements, a couple of management announcements over here. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the kind words for Nikki last night. I really appreciate it. She really had a rough night last night in the hospital, and it just was not good. And so she had to get up today, and she was real worried because she had to get a scope, and she said it was totally fine to share all this. She had to get a scope, and like an upper scope or something, and that if it was clear, then they were going to possibly let her go home. So, I've actually kind of been texting with her, which is why I've been, like, waiting to vlog. And she just got out right before I started vlogging. Her husband just picked her up, and she's in the car, and she's on her way home. So, she's very excited. They had her eat something today to see if it was, like, so it was painful when she was eating. So, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. Look at you out there walking.
Yep. It's crazy warm out.
I know, it's 58. I just looked it up. But they wanted her to have something to eat because when she was eating before and drinking, it was like really painful. So they weren't letting her eat or drink anything. She had to drink this like fluid, I don't know, for like the scans and stuff like that. But other than that, she wasn't allowed to eat or drink anything, and she was so hungry. And, so anyway, this morning, they, like, had her eat something, and she sent me a picture. She had a grilled cheese. Here, I'll show you the picture. Hold on a second. I was like, oh my god, that's what I had in the hospital when I first ate, too. I don't know if you'll even be able to see this on here, but she sent me a picture. What'd she say? She said, the scope came out clear. She was all excited about that. And then she said, food! And she sent me this picture, and it was a grilled cheese and tomato soup. And a Sprite. She loves Sprite anyway, and I told her, I said, oh, they gave her real Sprite. When I was in the hospital, it was like the Shasta or whatever. No, maybe it was Starry that they gave me in the hospital. I always feel like in the hospital, it's like the Shasta version of it. And they come in the little cans. Do you know what I'm talking about? So anyway, Nikki's out of the hospital. I'm very happy. I was very worried about her. You guys, just all of the nice comments and all of the support, I just really appreciate it. It was so sweet. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Just made a little bit of coffee, and this is out of the advent calendar because I haven't gone through all those coffees yet. This is the what coffee is this? Cookies and cream. This is cookies and cream. So let's try it. First try and see how it goes. Oh, it does taste like cookies and cream. Tastes like Oreo straight up in my coffee. That's good. Who doesn't mind an Oreo in their coffee? Anyway, I'm very elated that Nikki is out of the hospital. They were telling her that she was going to have to stay in the hospital till at least Monday. And I know that she just wanted to get home and be with her kids and stuff like that. So I'm so happy that things are going better and that she's feeling better. So thank you guys again so much for the positive vibes and the prayers that some of you guys sent and all that stuff. It was just like, there were so many comments from Nikki in the comment section below, and I just want to say I really appreciate that. Alright, let's light some candles first. So I made an executive decision, and that is that I think until Monday, I'm just going to film my vlogs. This kind of came, I know it's like 2 days. You guys are like, 2 days, like you're, oh, I forgot to bring out the long candle. I know this one even, I can't even get this into the very bottom now. Okay, well this candle will just have to wait. I know that doesn't sound like much of an executive decision, but my plan was that I was gonna get up today and I was going to film all these videos, and then tomorrow I was gonna film all these videos. So last night, well, I'll get to this in just a second, but last night I took a really long walk. I took like a, well, long walk for me because I haven't been walking a lot lately. I took like an hour and 34-minute walk, and I started over the Christmas Tree Farm mystery because I like hadn't listened to it a couple days, and so I was like, I don't know what really what's going on, and so I listened to it. I listened to it when I got home. I have 2 hours left. When I get done with this vlog, I'm gonna take a walk. I had a really, really nice walk last night. So a couple things happened. I didn't really want to like start this as like a really, really sad vlog right away. So like literally as soon as I got done vlogging last night, I was like rendering my vlog, and I was rendering my vlog. So last night was Tanya's, like, her, like, she takes all, like, the people that work for her. She, like, does some huge thing every year. Like, they go see a play and then out to dinner or whatever. And so she took all of them to go to this hockey game last night. So she was real excited about that. And so I knew that she was doing the hockey game, and they were, like, going to have pizza and all that kind of stuff. And she was real excited about that. It's like she loves doing it every year, like, coming up with this, like, she gives them all these, like, really fun gifts and all this kind of stuff, all her employees. So they were doing that last night. And so my phone starts going off, and like I'm sitting there, and Alex is sitting there watching TV while I'm like rendering my vlog, and my phone starts going off. And at first I didn't really understand like the text messages that I was getting. So like it was about a friend of mine, and this friend of mine is somebody that I met for the 4 years that I didn't go to meetings, and then I came back in. When I came back in to going to meetings, I was going to meetings like every day. I was going to, I talked about this a lot. I was going to 2 meetings a day. I was going to the noon meeting and the 8 meeting every day. And right after I started coming back, I met this friend of mine, and he got sober. Like, I remember his very first meeting. I remember what he shared in the meeting. And he just became he was really important to me at that period of time. You know, like, I mean, I just, every day would see him, every day would talk to him, and was just one of the nicest guys in the entire world. And really, really cared about this guy. Well, I found out last night that, I mean, it just seems surreal. It just seems absolutely surreal. I found out that he had, and Tanya's really close with him as well, with he and his wife. And I found out that he had taken his life last night, and, or yesterday. And, so I was, like, trying to get a hold of my friend that is, like, really close with him, like, really good friends with him. And, so I talked to him, and we talked for a little bit. And then I didn't want to, like, ruin Tanya's, like, party, but I also knew, like, she was really close to him. And, I didn't want her just to kind of, like, randomly, like, you know, like, be rolling through, like, whatever. And so I was trying to get a hold of her, but I was trying to kind of be ambiguous about it. So I got a hold of her, and then she said, I'll call you as soon as I'm done. Then I called my sponsor. It just was, I don't know, I just felt like, this is probably something that I don't talk a lot about on here. My sponsor and I were talking a lot about this last night. This is something I probably don't talk a lot about when it comes to, like, recovery, is that you know, and he wasn't drinking, he didn't go back out. I've known quite a few people in recovery with a lot of years. I wouldn't say a lot, but I'd say enough through the years that have done the same thing. And so I've never in my life, like, I was telling Alex this, and I was telling, like, my sponsor said, you should feel blessed that you haven't. I have never in my life, I don't know why. I don't know what makes me different. I don't, when I have conversations with people, it's like almost every person that I talk to is like, yeah, I've definitely felt that way or whatever. I've never felt that way in my entire life. Like, that was an option for me. Even at the worst of the bullying, even when my life was like really, really horrible, I can remember towards the end of my youth, hey, how are you? Your hair looks so pretty.
Thanks, you're indifferent.
Well, the sun's going down.
Oh.
But like, I can remember when like towards the end of my using, I didn't really care if I woke up or not, but I don't remember really conceptualizing what that meant, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't feel real when I would think that, you know? But I've never, like, had a plan. I've never, you know, it's never been anything for me that I've, like, I don't know why. I never, and I feel like every person that I've ever talked to, you know, like, has had that at least once in their life. I've never felt that. That's not something that I relate to. I've talked on here before about this, that I had a friend of mine that was one of my friends when I was back using. He was like one of my closest friends. Actually, it's interesting because I talked about this on here years ago, and somebody that watched my vlogs, like, had dated him and reached out to me, like, and knew that I was talking about him in the vlog and was like, oh my god, like, I miss him so much, and I knew that you guys were friends, and it was, like, bizarre hearing you tell his story and stuff. And he and I were really, really close, like, best friends, close for a long time. And, he was kind of consumed with that idea for a long time, and then when I got sober, I stopped seeing him because I wasn't going out as much anymore, and then, like, my friend group kind of changed and things like that, and his friend group kind of changed, and so we would keep in touch, like, every once in a while. If I saw him out, I'd be like, hey, it's great to see you, and all that kind of stuff. But I can still remember walking into my apartment. This was with my first boyfriend, and he was on the phone. He was really, really good friends with my friend that I went to elementary, junior high, high school, college, and graduate school with. And she was on the phone with my ex, and he was like, here, she wants to talk to you. And he had like this weird look on his face, like he didn't, like, she had told him, but he didn't know, like, what to say to me. And so, like, I remember getting on the phone with her, and I don't know, it just felt so surreal. And I don't know if it's my fear of death, that, like, I don't have as much of a fear of death today as I did. I think my mom passing really changed that a lot for me. I don't really know how to explain that other than just going through it changed it for me. I think I just realized that it's inevitable and you can't control that, and it's, you know, it's part of life. And but I've never had that feeling. I've never got there where I thought like, I need an exit plan. I've never thought that. And I don't know, I was talking to my sponsor about that last night, and she said you should be very grateful for that you've never been there before. And I know as I say this, like, there's so many people out there that are watching this that are like, oh, I've been there, right? I think the other thing too is that, you know, the year before my mom passed away, one of my very, very dear friends, her mom did that. And it's still, like, the wake. I still see, you know, 18 years, 19 years later, that it's affected on her and her brother. Like, I still see it. And I've had other friends of mine that's happened to them with family members. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I've tried to understand it because of knowing people and knowing people that are there, but I don't get it. That's just my truth. I don't get it. I've never been to that point, you know? And so, I don't know. I think in this situation, well, I'm not going to even get into all the details of it, but, so after that, I just kind of, like, sat there for a little bit, and I talked to Alex about it, and I mean, he of course was being really, really sweet and, you know, asking me questions and whatever. I felt like just disconnected. I just felt real disconnected in that moment. And so I hadn't been walking, and I said, I think I need to take a walk. I remember when my dad, he's told me this story before, when his dad, my dad's from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and when I would spend like part of the summer in Fort Wayne, because my dad and my mom, before they got divorced and even afterwards, would go to the tennis championships downtown Indianapolis. It's now like the RCA, I don't remember what it was called back then, but it originated as the clay courts, and it was just right up the street from us right here. And then they moved it downtown, and it became something else. Now it's the RCA Tennis Championships. But they would go up every year, and they would get, like, box seats and stuff like that. And so my dad, he got, like, a call from, hey, how are you?
Always good.
There she is, popping down the street. She is so sweet. That's a little Boo Radley. The little Boo Radley lookalike. But I remember my dad telling me that he had like gotten a call or something. I can't remember how it happened now, but he'd gotten a call or something from one of my family members, and like he like knew, like he had felt it, like he was on a run. He basically said goodbye to his dad, like he knew that his dad had passed away. And I don't know, in the moment last night, I felt like I just needed to kind of, like, walk and just, like, I don't know, just be like, you know, I've always felt like this ever since, like, I got sober and I started on this spiritual journey. I'm not a nature person, I think we know that. It's not like I'm putting on hiking boots and going out and hiking mountains. I will say what's weird about that, though, is that the older I get, the more I can see myself doing something like that. Like, that does seem like something to me that, like, being out in nature is something to me that is a little bit more desirable than it was. I really like being outside. I like being out in nature. And I feel very connected spiritually. I can remember my mom and I talking years and years and years ago about just, like, God and spirituality and stuff. And I said, she didn't understand, like, why. Like, she would ask me to go to church with her every once in a while. And I was like, Mom, you know, I don't have a problem, like, going to church with you if it really means something for me to sit next to you, like, on Mother's Day or Easter or whatever, you know? But, like, I feel like that's not where I find my God, is in a church, you know? And I'd seen the bumper sticker, and I loved this bumper sticker years ago that said, years and years and years ago I saw it. It said something like, you don't have to be in a garage to be in a car. You don't have to be in a garage to be a car, therefore you don't have to be in a church to be a Christian. And I loved that, like, that sentiment, right? Like, and I can remember also watching the movie when I was a kid. My mom loved this movie. My dad loved this movie too, called Continental Divide. I don't know if you've ever seen it. But it's with Jim Belushi, it's with John Belushi. And he's like a reporter for the Sun-Times in Chicago, and he goes to interview this woman that's like a photographer of these eagles in the Rocky Mountains. And this one day, like, and he's like a smoker, coffee drinker, like, you know, newspaper, he's like fast, you know, city life. And so he's all of a sudden up in the mountains living with her in this cabin. And this one morning, he like can't keep up with her and stuff. And she's like, come on, we're going to church. And he's like, we're going to church. Where's this a church? And so she takes him, like, I'll never forget this. I should watch this movie again. I haven't watched it in years and years and years. It's like that movie and Educating Rita. I always think about watching Educating Rita. If you've never seen it, it's such a fantastic movie. It like changed me. As, like, when I watched it as a kid, not as, like, high school, I watched it with my mom, and I felt like it changed me. Like, so many people are walking today. I think it, like, really made me focus in on be who you are in your soul, not who other people want you to be. Educating Rita did that to me. If you've never seen that movie, it's fantastic. But, so in Continental Divide, she's like taking him like through the mountains. He's like, come on, we're going to church. And then all of a sudden they come out. I think they're like all over like this mountain ridge. And there's like an eagle soaring and stuff. And she's like, this is church. And that was kind of very much like what my mom said. Like when we were when she said, this is God, you know, it was very similar to that. I've always felt that way. I remember telling my mom, like I said, being outside in nature and being like, I would say, Mom, I feel more connected to God, like listening to a song or you know, with the wind in my hair kind of thing. I feel more connected to God in that moment than I do sitting in a church. And she'd say, I get that. My mom would say, I get that. And so, like, yesterday Alex had also told me, too, I had noticed on Instagram, so I follow all these rescue animals, right? Well, this little squirrel that I follow, Nika by the sea, had passed away, like, right before Christmas, I think. And so I was reading about that, and I just was like, on the heels of, like, Boo Radley and, you know, Peanut the squirrel and all this stuff. And then Alex said to me yesterday, he said, I know you follow that little Hobbs. I don't, like, go in and look at these, like, accounts unless they just come up on my Instagram, probably like everybody else, right? I go, yeah, little Hobbs, like the little Chihuahua. I said, I love him so much. She's like, did you know that he passed away? And I go, what? And so I went in, and she had put, like, this memorial up that I think it was, like, on the 17th or the 18th that little Hobbs had passed away. And it was, like, all this stuff, and I just felt like... And there's a lot of other stuff that, like, is just... You know, I was saying this the other day on camera, there's a lot that I don't share on camera. There's a lot that I don't share on camera that's, like, really, you know, like, has to do with people that I've never talked about on camera, and so it's not mine. There's just been a lot of loss and pain recently, and so I told Alex last night, I was like, I think I'm going to take a walk for a little bit, and he said, okay. And so I walked for, like, an hour and 34 minutes, and probably, like, the first 45 minutes of it, I just listened to music. There was this Martin Garrix song called Starlight. It's weird that like an electronic dance music song is like a spiritual song to me, but I should look up the lyrics for you. I mean, I don't know the lyrics by heart just because I think it would make more sense. But I just listened to this song like on repeat as I was walking. I know this is probably not the vlog everybody thought today. Starlight, Martin Garrix lyrics. So the lyrics are, if I have to go, please don't tell me when. Need a little more time, I hope you understand. Like a guardian, you're watching over me through the depths of my own despair. I look up to the sky and I find my peace. I know you'll be there. Like, this song, these lyrics are just, like, beautiful. And I just was, like, walking last night, and I just, like... I think for, like, a, you know... I don't know if this will make any sense at all, what I'm saying. I'm kind of, like, working it out as I'm talking about it. I mean, somebody said the other day, they said, your vlogs are like therapy for you. They are like therapy for me, but, like, I also have a therapist and a sponsor, and so it's more like journaling to me. Excuse me. This is more like journaling to me. Like live oral journaling. But, you know, I think when I was younger, like probably many people, I think I had a very selfish view of the world, like, everything's happening to me, you know, like, it's like you know, you talk about this existentialist philosophical idea that, like, you know, like, if a tree falls, you know, in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it really fall, kind of idea, that, like, if I'm not here, does it really happen, kind of thing. I think it's a very existentialist point of view, right? Well, it is an existentialist point of view, it is, definitely. And I think that when I was in my youth, I think... just by nature, because I think that's what you do a lot of times in your youth. I think I've met a rare few people in their 20s that are so selfless and, like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad trait to be that way. I just think it's kind of, like, built into the nature of being, like, in your teens and 20s. I really do, you know? I think it really starts changing, like, for a lot of friends of mine when they've had kids, I've noticed it. And when you've gotten married, or, you know, you take on some responsibilities of, like, an older parent or something like that, when you're forced to make it not about you, if that makes sense. But I think for a very long time, like, I would go through life and I would be like, this stuff that's happening in the world is kind of like, not happening to me, but like you're the main character in your own story, which I think is true. I think most people think that way, right? But I think then you have enough things happen. Like, you know, I've lost enough people in my life. I've gone through some horrible things that you realize you're not the main character, and it's a story and you're just one character in that story. You might be the main character to you, but you're not the main character in the story of life. You're just one character. And I think the hardest thing, I think the hardest thing to accept with that is that I think, you know, this coffee is like really, really hot. I think that we know that I'm definitely somebody that goes down memory lane, right? And I'm constantly telling memories and telling stories of people. And do you remember this? And do you remember that? And all this kind of stuff, right? I don't necessarily find, like Tanya enjoys doing that, but Tanya will be like, I want to make new memories. Not a lot of people that I know, like Alex and I laugh about people that we knew and tell stories of things that had happened in the past, all that kind of stuff, right? Like I think a lot of that's normal. Okay, so my battery died. So that must be another really bad battery. So I went inside to get another battery. And then when I was standing in the kitchen, my like chest started to hurt. Started to feel like real tight and constrict, which has been happening in the last couple of days. But we'll get to that in just a second, because that's kind of like the third part of all of this I wanted to talk about. And I got some water as well. Alex is making some chicken fingers, and he is getting ready to watch some kind of, looks like some kind of science fiction-y kind of show or something like that. And then when I put the new battery in, I kind of was like, I don't remember exactly where I was and what I was talking about. This is so stream of consciousness today. Some of you out there are like, oh, this is the kind of conversation that I like, and others of you out there are like, okay, can you just kind of give us a press release of what you did the last 24 hours? Well, in all reality, my last 24 hours was not super exciting as far as what I did, but I can tell you guys that in just a little bit. But anyway, I had to really go back in and see like where I was, because I was like, where was I? What was I talking? I knew I was talking about memories, but so I find that my mom, you know, was a memory teller. My dad is a memory teller. A storyteller, to speak. But one of the things that I have found that's kind of like a sad, I think, reality is that the majority of people that I know that have passed, I think in society, we don't want to act this way, but the truth is that most of society expects there to be a time limit on grief. I know we say things like, there's no time limit on grief and whatever, you know, which is one of the reasons why when people say, how long do you think you'll be telling stories about your mom and grieving your mom? And I say, probably the rest of my life. She was my mom, you know? That grief will change and look different over time. It won't always be the same. But she was my mom. And she's absent from my life now, you know? I think any loss like that, any dog you have, child, aunt, uncle, grandparent, you know, I think that significant impact that's going to have on you, you're going to, and I'm not comparing those different relationships at all, because whenever I say that, somebody's like, you're comparing a parent to a dog. I'm not comparing them at all, okay? Each one of those situations is completely different. But what I'm saying is that even though society and people tell you, you grieve as long as you want to, there's no time limit on grief, blah, blah. The reality is society kind of just thinks that you should just move on at some point, right? Well, moving on to not just to the person that was directly affected by it. I'm not talking just about me. I'm talking about friends of mine who have, you know, close family members, you know, that they've lost, whatever. It's like, I think we stopped telling the stories, we stopped talking about people, and what I realize is that life goes on, you know? I think that was probably one of the harshest realities for me, and I really learned that after my mom passed away, in all honesty. I really learned that after my mom passed away, because at the time that she was sick, other than my aunt, you know, my Aunt Kathy was fantastic before and afterwards, but during the time that my mom was sick, there were so many people that were helping out. You know, when my mom was at home and she was sick, it was like there was people coming in and out of the house. All these women were helping, you know, friends of my mom's from high school and sorority sisters and stuff like that were helping, like, constantly in and out of the house. And so when I was over here, I'd sit and I'd talk to them and I'd see them. When I was in the hospital, when my mom was in the hospital finally, it was like there were people constantly in and out of the hospital, the time that my mom was in the hospital, my aunt at one point had when my mom was here, she had a schedule of, like, who was coming and who was taking care of my mom and who was doing all this kind of stuff. And then when she was in the hospital, my aunt was like, okay, on Tuesday, Peter, like, this is when you're going to be, I've talked about that before, and, like, so-and-so's coming then, and so-and-so's coming then. And I remember when my mom passed away, and especially, like, at her funeral and stuff, everybody was like, well, I'm your, like, I'm also your new mom because, I'm one of your mom's really good friends, and I'm going to keep in touch, and next week we're going to go out to dinner, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay. And I don't know if it's partly because they didn't want to burden me by reaching out, or I didn't really know what to say when I reached out, because a lot of the connection that we had was just through my mom. Like, if my mom wasn't here, we didn't really have much of a connection, And I don't really know what happened. I do know that I haven't heard from some of those people since my mom passed away 17 years ago. That said that they were going to call me every week for the rest of my life. I haven't heard from some of those people since the week of my mom's funeral. And I don't think that we really know how to navigate when people have died, or we don't really know how to keep their memory alive. And so even though society tells us, grieve as long as you want, let that process go on as long as you want, I think the reality is that people prefer that you get through it a little bit quicker, because they don't really know how to deal with it. We don't have a language to talk about it. And that's just the reality of what I've experienced, It's like, talk about it, but don't talk about it too much, and talk about it when it's easy for me, but not, like, we're going to dictate when it's, what I'm saying? Like, that's really the truth of how it is. Very few people will sit there and, like, when you want to talk about stuff, talk about it. I'm not just talking about grief of, like, a death. I'm talking about, like, a breakup, a job. I've had friends of mine that lost jobs, and it was like 10 years later they were still talking about it, or moving, like, they still didn't feel comfortable in the new place they were at and whatever. And so I don't know, I think, like, when you look at it that way, in meetings it's interesting because, like, I've been going to the same home group meeting for almost 30 years. And so there's a lot of people that, like, started that meeting and went to that meeting that have passed away. And so when people share, they'll say things like, I'm just making somebody's name up, like Judy Smith, because I always use Judy Smith as a fake name. So nobody will question whether or not there was a real name. There was no Judy Smith that I'm aware of that ever went to my home group. But, people will be like, I remember when Judy Smith used to say, and then people will be like, oh, Judy, like, I miss her, There's that kind of honor that's paid, like, in 12-step meetings sometimes with, like, the old-timers that have passed away and stuff like that. And I think, with, like, musicians and actors, when they'll talk about, like, the movies they were in or songs or whatever. But I think for just the average person out there, the reality is that, like it says in Charlotte's Web, we're born, we live, we die. It's a cycle of life. And my mom, I can remember standing in the hospital room with her. That was the first moment that I had, like, ever been next to somebody when they had passed. I didn't know what that experience was going to be like. I don't know. I thought that it was going to be different than it was. Did I really think, like, that there was going to be, like, the heavens were going to open up? No. I didn't literally think that. But I thought that there would be something. I thought I would feel something momentous. And it was literally, like, just one second she was there and the next she wasn't. There was nothing that, there was nothing, like, I don't know. It just didn't feel, I don't know, just one second she was there and the next she wasn't. And that was how it was. And then it was the planning for the funeral, and everybody was, like, all wrapped up in that. And then everybody's like, we're going to keep in touch with you. And I'll tell you this is one thing I say to people when they've lost people is, make sure you keep in touch with those people after the funeral. Up to the funeral, like, people think that that's when people need people, is before the funeral. I think there's so many people that want to help out with bringing food by and planning and helping, and can you get here and do you need there and what about flowers and all kinds of stuff. Listen, that's all great and fine. It's after the funeral. My cousin Caroline and I have talked about this so much, of so many people that have said to us, you know, with her mom, my mom, her dad, things like that. Oh my God, we're going to like go out to lunch next week, blah, 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 like that. I have my Aunt Susie that calls me. She's the only one of my mom's friends that, like, I mean, this lady that lives in our neighborhood, she'll like say hi when I see her, but like other than that, my Aunt Susie that lives in Colorado, she's the only person of my mom's friends that is consistently called. And flew in and was like there the night of the viewing and stuff like that and stayed the duration. And my cousin Caroline, like she has one friend of her like parents that she goes and travels with one time a year, because that was like a trip that my aunt and uncle did with them, and so like they just keep it up so they can keep on doing the trip. And the other couple is our closest family friends. It's the one that makes the stuffing and all that kind of stuff. And they were in the room the night that my mom and dad passed away, and they were my aunt and uncle's closest friends. And so Caroline and Mike go have dinner with them, or like lunch, like once every other week. It's the woman that Caroline and I go, it's Carol, it's the woman that Caroline and I go and have like brunch with and stuff like that. And it's sad to me, you know, that like, especially for my aunt and uncle, like my aunt had so many people, she was so involved, and it's like nobody, like I don't think Caroline really cares, but like, I don't know, it's just like how quickly people are forgotten. You know, it's just like how quickly people are forgotten. And so, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, you know, like I was talking about my friend last night, and I was like, like when Tanya got home, we like talked about it, and we were like crying on the phone and how sad it was and stuff, and I was like, I can remember him like sharing his story like the first day that he came in, you know, like I can remember specifics about his story. I can remember him sitting there in that room that first day just like bawling his eyes out, you know, like how hard it was for him to like walk in and get sober, and then just to see like this life that like what it turned into, you know, he had this amazing life. And like without getting into specifics, the man was in a lot of physical pain. I mean, and it had been years on end of physical pain. And I'm not making excuses or saying that that's okay. I'm just saying like that was part of the situation. And so, I don't know, but it's like, I feel like I've known so many people that have passed away, and it's like, I think the sad thing is like, do you guys remember when like years ago I would say in vlogs like when all these people are gone, like who knows my history, you know? Well, part of it is like, like Tanya and I used to have a group of like 10 people that we hung out with, right? 2 of them were my old sponsors. One of them lived on this house outside Indianapolis, but he passed away. My other sponsor, he passed away just in the last 2 years. Like, those were 2 of them. They never went back out. When I say go back out, that means like going back out and using. One of our friends moved far away to California. Another one of our friends did go back. 2 of our friends went back out. And it was like, and the other 2 or 3 people that were in there were like people that were dating people in there. So like we kind of lost when those people left. And it was just Tanya and I. So, you know, it's weird when it's like a lot of these people that are parts of my history. I mean, they're not just, that's what I'm talking about when you talk about characters in a story, right? Like you're not, it's, to you, you're the main character, right? Like in your story, you're the main character. And those are just supporting eccentric characters you're going to meet through your life that are going to empower you or challenge you or be your, I mean, you know, it's like if you read your book, like read your story as a book, right? Like have you ever thought of your life that way? Like who would these people represent in your life? Would they be like somebody you learned a great lesson from? Would they be somebody that just was like in a chapter, you know? But when you think about it, like you are the main character, but in life, you're not the main character. You're just a character. And characters are forgettable. And I think that that's the saddest thing is like, I've known so many people that it's like my friend, like from years and years and years ago that, you know, passed away and that I was talking about earlier. And I think about him and it's like, nobody brings him up anymore, ever. I'm not even friends with people that would bring him up. I'm not even friendly with people that would bring him up. That know him, I mean, Alex never met him. My ex never even met him because he was gone before my ex and I started dating. So it's like, there's so many people now that it's like, I don't really, I mean, to tell the story, you know, I mean, I can tell 1,000,001 stories about my mom to Alex, but he's never met her. He doesn't know her. There's very few people that are left alive that I interact with that did know my mom. You know? And so it's like, as you get older, it's like, I don't know, it's like, you know, I was listening to this music last night, and I was like, I just was thinking to myself, you know, it's like, if that's really at the end, right? Like, we don't know, like, I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of faith that there's an afterlife and stuff like that, but if we don't know, and most of us are going to be rather forgettable anyway, you know, I mean, after 6 months, it's not like people are going to be talking about all the good deeds we did, unless we're somebody, like, super famous, or contributed, like, a shit ton of money, or great work, you know, or wrote the bestseller, or, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's not like people are going to be talking about me sitting on my front porch for years to come. They just aren't, you know? And so, it's like, then you get to the point where it's like, okay, well, then you really... Like, I say this a lot. Like, like, one of the reasons why I don't understand, like, consumption of, like, negativity is because, like, when I was going through the whole, like, marriage equality thing, and Alex and I were working really hard to, like, in Indiana to get, like, marriage equality passed and things like that, one of the things I would say to people that I never understood, right, was that if you get to the end of your life and you're laying in a hospital bed and it's your last few minutes, right, are you going to look back on your life and your proudest moment is going to be that you kept two people apart that loved each other, or kept them from legally marrying each other so that they could have legal benefits, or whatever that meant to them, that they were in a union or whatever? Like, is that going to be your proudest moment when you look back on your life? You know, like, when we spend our days, and we spend our days doing whatever we put our energy into. I say this a lot. I just said it not too long ago in a cameo. But I say this a lot in videos. I sometimes feel like this is kind of missed, right? But, like, people ask me all the time, like, what's some of the greatest lessons you've learned? This is probably one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned. Is that when you think about the fact that we have a limited... My mom passed away when she was 64, okay? So I'm going to be 53 this summer. I do put that in the context of, if I live to be as long as my mom, I might only have 11 summers left. 11 pool summers left, 11 summers to laugh, 11 years to take trips. I do think of things in context like that. I know that I could live a lot longer than, I could live a lot less than that. Knowing that you're going to live a lot longer than that, or possibly a lot less than that, and that none of us is promised tomorrow and we don't know, why would you not want to live the best fucking life that you can possibly live? And spend the time doing things that are important to you, that make you happy. That's where I don't understand the consumption with negativity. I really don't understand it. I don't get it. You know, like, that you're gonna, like, spend 30 years of your life focused on making sure that two people can't marry each other? Why? Like, what do you get out of that? Unless you have some personal agenda with that. Well, family values and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but me being married to my husband in this house is not affecting your family values at all. Period. It is not. Well, yes, it is, because it's representative. You have one life. This is what you want to spend your life doing? You want to keep two people that love each other apart. Like, this is what's important to you, right? Okay, or whatever your issue is that you're so ate up with, that's important to somebody else, and your importance is taking that away from somebody, or shaming them, or criticizing them, or doing. I mean, I really don't understand that. I don't. And so when you break it down like that, and you just don't know, like, we might just have tomorrow. I mean, listen, I'm somebody that has lived that. So, you know. I should not be here. I feel like I'm already on borrowed time. And so then it questions, well, what are you doing with that time? You know, and I say this a lot in my videos. It's like, who you talk to on the phone, who you eat lunch with, where you work, what kind of work you do. I mean, a lot of us can't decide what jobs we want to do because we have to just put food on the table. Okay, but what's your attitude when you're at work? You know, are you negative all the time? Are you putting your energy into negativity, or are you putting it into positivity? Are you doing things that make you happy, or are you doing things that, are you tearing other people down constantly? What's your energy about? Like, because listen, at the end, when you look back at that, if you even have the chance to look back at that, because the majority of people don't have a chance to look back at that and realize that they're looking back on their life. That alone is a privilege, to be able to look back on your life, you know, and be like, okay, these are all the things. I can remember before I met my ex, you know, one of the things I thought to myself was about people that I had known that had passed. from the disease of addiction, and I thought they don't have the opportunity anymore to go up to somebody and hit on them or flirt with them or give them a number. And that was really why I ended up, so for those of you that don't know, I've shared this story before, but my ex and I, our thing was that like we would give each other matchbooks, because I wrote my number in a matchbook, and I went up to him on a dance floor because my friend that I was with said to me, he goes, if you don't go up there and give it to him, I'm going to give him my number. And I was like, oh no. So I went up there and I gave him my number in a matchbook. I slipped in his back pocket, and he turned around and I said, call me sometime. He walked off the dance floor and he came up to me and he held up the matchbook and he said, are you really going to put some matchbook in my back pocket and expect me just to call you without even introducing yourself to me? That was how it all started. Something like that. So anyway, but in that moment, what really inspired me to do it was that I had known somebody that recently just passed, like literally passed away that day. And so I was like, they don't have the opportunity to do this anymore, you know? So last night when I was walking, I was like, I really need to figure out what I want my life to look like going forward, you know? Okay, the tripod fell, but I have to just tell you, you guys, I have messed with this tripod for literally like the last 3 or 4 minutes over here. This is the second tripod, not the first tripod that would fall all the time. This is the second one. And the same thing is happening with this one now that happened to the other one, where it just would like, it's, the leg falls, but this one, the camera is going like sideways like that too. It's just like all of a sudden I'll just be sitting there and go, woo. Okay, do you see? There it goes. I don't know what to do, you guys. There's one thing I can do, which is I can take, I'm trying to like really tighten it. One thing I can do is I can take the camera off and I can put it on top of this lantern that I keep behind. I don't even have it on the table anymore. And just set you guys on top. I think I did that back in the day. What is going on? I hope it doesn't start raining because I really want to take this walk. Oh, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about, come on now. Okay, I'm just going to have to let it go and we'll just see. But last night when I was walking, I was thinking to myself, you've really got to figure out, like, what you want your life to look like going forward, right? I was like, what, going into 2025, going to the, you know, you've just celebrated 30 years sober. On the heels of Boo passing away, it feels like the end. I mean, I feel like I've had so many end of eras just recently. And, like, so much loss and things like that, that I was like, okay. Like, you have got to live your life. Like, you have got to live your best life, right? Like, what does that look like, living your best life? And I was, like, really thinking about that last night. Like, what does that really, really look like? You know, I've talked a lot about the anxiety. Today, I woke up and I just felt filled with it. I felt like I was just like coming out of my skin again. And, you know, and I turned to Alex. I must have just had some look on my face because he's like, you can feel it, can't you? And I go, is the bed shaking? And he goes, no, babe, the bed's not shaking. And I go, it's not shaking? And he goes, no. And he like just held my hand for like the longest time. It literally like, I felt, I mean, this is the craziest thing. I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like the bed was shaking. Like I had gotten out and I had gone to the restroom and I came back into the bed and like I felt like the bed was like shaking because I felt like I was shaking, but I'm not shaking. And then the last couple days there's been like periods where I've like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's chest pain, it's just like chest tightness. And what it reminds me of is back in the day, I know, because when I say this on here, there's going to be, first of all, a lot of people have been like, you know, you need to make sure that your neurologist says, okay, I just want to make this very, very clear for anybody in the future that has questions about, like, my medical issues. So, my primary care physician and my neurologist work completely together, okay? My primary care physician works very closely with, like, has worked very closely with my therapist on things, or, like, recommendations. When I talk about, like, my team of physicians, that's what I'm referring to, okay? I have a neurologist. I have actually a team of neurologists that I see. There's more than one that I see, but I have a main neurologist that I see. I have a nurse practitioner that I see through the neurologist. I have seen a neurosurgeon for the brain bleed, the subdural hematoma. So they work, and they also confer with my primary care physician. So they go back and forth. So any medication that one doctor was going to start, they would absolutely 100% go to this one and go to that one and things like that. Like, there's a lot of communication that occurs behind the scenes. So I just want to make that clear, because whenever I say something about like anti-anxiety medication, I think I got a couple of comments. I mean, they were nice. I mean, I know that they were people that were concerned, but they're like, just make sure that you check with your neurologist. My doctors all talk to each other. So I just want to make that very, very clear, first of all. But whenever I say something like this, and I know like this is just like the nature of the beast a little bit, the nature of the beast so much is that when I say things on there, like people are going to be like, well, that's not, I don't think what you're explaining is anxiety, or what you're saying is like, you know, you need to go get your heart checked and things like that. So before I say this, I just want to say, I appreciate you guys like suggesting what you think it might be based on your own personal experience or what you've gone through. I had to make a decision a while ago, and I think this will probably am I getting a package? What package am I getting? I ordered a Christmas present that never came. I wonder if this is it. It looks small. This is it. Oh, maybe it's not small. He's getting out. Why are Amazon trucks like budget cart or budget trucks now? Yeah, this is for me. I'll be right back. Hold on just a second. Hey, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Nice night, huh?
Yeah. I'm out here in Houston. Are you Alex?
Yeah, that's my husband.
Okay, what's your first name?
Peter.
Peter. Go ahead and sign there for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Jeff.
It wasn't even for me. It was for Alex. I was like, it's so nice outside. And he was like, yeah, I'm out here in a t-shirt. So whenever I had to make a decision a while ago, just so you guys, oh my God, the tripod fell again. You guys, this is, the next thing the Amazon guy needs to bring is a tripod. I have a new tripod in there. It's okay, this one is like three metal sticks that just kind of go, it's real easy. The one I have inside is like, I don't even know how to explain it. It looks like a spider kind of crawling kind of thing, and I don't think it'll go this high. I'm gonna have to look online for, I looked a while ago, and I just was like, I just want a basic tripod. But anyway, okay, so as far as like the medical stuff, I had to make this decision a while ago because I don't even remember what the situation was, but I brought something on here and people were like, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. And I literally kept like a notes app, like of written down of all these different things and took it into my doctor. And there was a point when he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And he told, you know, like he knows what I do and that I make videos and whatever. And so I was explaining to him that a lot of people were asking these questions or recommending it. There was a point where I had to make a decision on whether or not I was going to listen to my physicians. And one of the reasons why I said that I have like a team of people that I work with, okay? It's not like I have like a team that like every time so let me make this clear, okay? It's not like every time I go in there that I'm like meeting with a team of physicians. That's not what it's like, okay? I mean, it's like I go in and I meet with like my doctor and the you know, the nurse practitioner or his nurse, whatever, that day. It's like two people when I see my primary care physician. When I go see my neurologist, it's usually the neurologist and the nurse practitioner that works for him. It's usually the two of them. And then I also see a nurse before I go in there that takes my vitals and does all that kind of stuff. So it's usually 3 people. It's not like a team, like I'm sitting at a table and there's 10 people around there. What I'm talking about as far as a team is I'm talking about the team of people that I'm working with, that they are all conferring with each other. I just want to make that clear, okay? I have enough people that are in checks and balances that are checking with each other and things like that and looking at blood work and looking at this, that if one person missed it, somebody else would catch it. There's enough people that are involved in this. I just want to make this clear. It's not like I'm just going to like one guy and he's like Mr. Farmer Ted doctor in the middle of the country that doesn't know shit, okay? I mean, like, I'm going to people that I've been referred to, like the primary care physician that I see, I was referred to by like, you know, my neurologist and things like that, because this is a primary care physician that knows a lot about epilepsy and things like that. So I just want to make sure that people understand that, because when I say like, I think people think like I'm talking when I say a team, like I'm going in there with like a team of experts. No, I'm just going in there and meeting with my doctor. But they all confer with each other, okay? And quite frankly, this is nothing that's abnormal. Most people's parents probably have this, or people that are, you know, like have medical issues, you have several different doctors and they usually confer with each other. They usually share charts with each other. It's all like online. You can do all that online. You can see all your charting online and stuff like that now. It's all shared with each other. So there was a point where I had to make a decision whether I was going to become obsessed with every recommendation that people gave me or if I was going to listen to my doctors. That was a decision that I had to make. And so I just was like, I have to listen to my doctors because it became a little too I've showed this before. It became a little too overwhelming. If you guys want to share it, like share your experience. Sometimes the things that people help me, I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought of that before, or, you know, whatever. So I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, I think there was a period where I was like, you know, please don't share anything because it's like too overwhelming. Share what you want to share. I don't really care. It means a lot that people feel comfortable enough and vulnerable enough to share their experience. And a lot of people will reach out to me and say, I didn't feel comfortable leaving this in a comment, but I wanted to share with you what I had gone through, blah, 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 whatever. But the last couple days, I have had throughout the day, it lasts maybe like 10 seconds. And it's like a constriction feeling in my chest. And it reminds me of back in the day when, God, how sober would I have been? It was like right before I met, it was my friend that moved to Denver. It was before he moved to Denver. So it was like, I was probably 4 or 5 years sober. It was after my ex and I broke up, my first ex, and I got with my second ex. So I can remember that I had like, kind of like panicky episodes. I wouldn't say that they were full-blown panic attacks, but they were panicky episodes. This feels very similar to that. It reminds me of that. Like, it's the first one I had, it took me right back to that. Where like for like 10 seconds I feel like I can't breathe, and I'm kind of like, oh my God, okay. But then it kind of goes away. I'm having like such physical manifestations to whatever is going on in my life that I have to like drastically change some things on how I am going about my life and what I'm doing and things like that. And I don't even really, to be honest with you, know what that looks like. I don't, you know. I think like, I mean, it's weird because I think this is where a lot of it is, like my therapist talking about combined grief, you know. I think a lot of it is, like with Boo, like I felt like the loss of many, if that makes sense. It wasn't just about Boo that I felt. It was like so much loss that I had felt over a period of time, right? But I think like, you know, it's interesting because like my friends and I, like all good. I mean, other than Nikki being in the hospital, but like our relationships are good. My marriage is the best it's ever been. You know, like we have a couple trips planned. You know, look, there's a lot to be excited about, but I think like some things are, like I've really, really enjoyed like reading lately, like physically copy reading, and you know, which is interesting because I'm a big Audible person, right? I think like one of the things I have to do going into 2025 is I have to like, and this is one of the things I'm going to be doing this week, is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be looking at like on my channels, like what are the things that I love to do? Like I love to vlog. So if maybe making my vlogs longer on a daily basis and like eliminating 1 or 2 videos, like not always, like I'm not going to get rid of a channel, but like maybe narrow it down to where I'm doing like 3 to 4 videos a day so that my vlogs, because I love to do my vlogs, right? Or whatever. I don't know. I've got to kind of just take a look at everything, you know? I want to plan a bunch of trips this year, and I don't even care if they're just like day trips, like to like get out and go do something. Like just walking last night. I felt free walking last night, you know? And I think like I have to, it's so weird, this idea of like when my therapist says to me, like, just take it day by day. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that at all, you know? I think one thing I've always known is that awareness is like the first key. So you have to be very aware of what like you're not good at or what you need to work on, right? Like I'm not good at this take it day by day thing. So, you know, I said in my video yesterday there were all these things I wanted to do before like Christmas, like online. And then there were all these things that I wanted to do before the end of the year online. And I was kind of beating myself up about it. Okay, so I shared that in my video yesterday. So last night, Mare, who I've shouted out over here before, her channel is Nightmare Bliss. Please go follow it. She posts videos like daily, right? And she messaged me. I don't think she even really knew, because I didn't really say much about it, but how much her message to me really meant to me last night. So she messaged me and she said something about me saying that in my video, and she was like, it really meant a lot when you said, I can't remember exactly how she said it, but when you said that in your vlog, because I had all these different videos planned out that I wanted to do before Christmas. Like, she had always like makeup looks and stuff that she wanted to do, and she had this video she wanted to do, and this video, and she was kind of like beating herself up that she didn't get that stuff done. And that's exactly how I felt, right? I have a list of like, I mean, I have TV reviews to do that those shows came out 4 months ago. You know, that I'm not going to go back and do them now. I don't even remember the shows that well to talk about them, let alone, nobody's talking about them anymore, you know? I have drama videos that I was going to make 2 weeks ago that aren't even really relevant anymore. I mean, I know a lot of stuff I talk about over there is not really relevant. And so, like, I don't know, and it's like, I was like really beating myself up last night because I was like, I had made the list of like all the videos I was going to make today and stuff like that, and then I read her comment and I was like, this was what was interesting, was that we were kind of both in the same place, right? And I thought to myself, if you gave her a suggestion, what would you give her a suggestion? And what I would have said to her was, the people that love you are going to stick around and continue to watch your videos. Take your time. You want to make a Christmas video on the 5th of January? Make a Christmas video on the 5th of January. Somebody will watch it. You know? Take time to take care of yourself. And it was like, you know, like when they show those like in the TV shows where it's like you're standing in a hallway, then all of a sudden like the hallway gets longer and longer and longer. It was like that, right? And I was like, you need to take your own damn advice, Peter. Like, you need to stop stressing out about getting a booktube video out about everybody. Everybody knows you're going to be reading the James Patterson books. If you post on the 1st or 2nd, people will catch up. I am going to get that video posted on Monday, though. But I was like, stop stressing about it, you know? And so I was like, you need to like, so between now and like the 1st of January, I am really going to just kind of sit and think about, number one, not what I want the rest of my life to look like necessarily, I guess I said that earlier, but what I want just the next year of my life to look like, or just the next 6 months. Like, one of the things I really want it to look like is I want to travel a lot. I want to travel a lot, you know? Number one. Number two is, I want to spend a lot of time being able to do things that make me really happy, as much as I possibly can. I like to spend time in pools. I like to be on the beach. I like to be in the sunshine. I like to read. I like to listen to audiobooks. If I have to be home and it's snowing, you know, I want to have like, you know, candles lit and hot tea and, you know, all cozy and all that kind of stuff. I want to spend my time each and every day being very conscious of putting my energy, that's the biggest thing, is where am I giving my energy? Am I giving my energy to things that are negative, or am I giving my energy to things that are positive? And that's a really big question that I'm going into 2025 asking myself, you know? And who am I spending my time with? You know, like that's what I was going to say earlier, like who you talk to on the phone, you know, what TV shows you watch, who you spend your day with. You know, when I was talking about like where you work, I mean, we can't, a lot of us decide where we work. I don't know if I said that earlier or not, but anyway, like, where you give your time and energy, like, that's a choice we all have. And I think, like, I do pretty good at that, but I think I have to really think about that going forward. Like, where do I really want to put my time and energy going forward, you know? I think it's interesting, like, I think sometimes about, like, if I'd asked my mom, like, the Christmas before she passed away, like when it was our last Christmas, you know, if I had said to her, okay, like it's that weird enigma, right? Like, would we want, or conundrum, like, would we want to know when we were going to pass? I would not want to know. But if we did, what would you spend that last year of your life doing? You know, when I was younger, I think I would have said, I'll go here and I'll go there and I'll go to all these exciting places and I'll party and I'll do this and I'll do all that. Me talking about traveling and going to the beach and the pool is not necessarily because I want to travel all around the world. I could travel to the same place 10 times this year and just sit in a pool and read a book and listen to an audiobook and walk on the beach with my husband and take naps with my husband and watch TV shows and, you know, get dressed cute and whatever. Like, I could go to the same place. We could go to some, you know, just regular hotel or get an Airbnb in South Florida 10 times this year, I'd be completely happy doing that. It doesn't have to be super fancy or anything like that. The things I would do if I knew it was my last year is I would read more books that make me happy, not books I felt like I needed to read. I think I got stuck in that for a long time where I felt like I was reading books. I don't do that really anymore. I read books that make me happy. I would watch more shows like I do. You know, I would spend more time with the people that I love, which is, I don't have tons of people in my life. You know, and so the reality is, when I look at my life, I'm really doing a lot of what I want to do now. I'm already doing it. The things that I think that I'm not doing are getting in the best health and the best way of my life. Like, that is, like, the number one thing I want to do. You know, Mel and I are switching up the True Crime Book Club. There's a lot of changes that are coming to the True Crime Book Club, and I mean, Peter's book club, it's not like there have to be changes, but there's a major change that's coming to both of those book clubs. Will be announced later in January. With doing that, it made me really look at my other channels and being like, what are new and different things I could do on my review channel? What are new and different things I could do on my Peter Dostoff channel that would be not just more exciting for other people, but more exciting for me? You know, like, I have 7 channels. I can do whatever I want to do on those 7 channels. What do I want to do? You know? What do I want to do on those channels? Like, that will, you know, be exciting and fun for me. I think I'm asking myself a lot of those questions to live with intention, to live a life with intention, you know? And what does that look like? I don't know. I've been in my head a lot today, can you tell? So that brought me to my administrative decision, which was that I'm only filming my vlog until Monday. And I'm not going to beat myself up on Monday about, like, if I like, my plan is to pre-film some videos for Tuesday, and then get up on Tuesday kind of early and film a vlog for Tuesday so we can get ready for the wedding. But if I don't, whatever I film is what I film. I'm like, between now and the 1st of January, 2nd of January when I come back, I'm not beating myself up about it. Like, I'm going to relax the next couple days. Like, so many of you guys were like, Peter, like, just take off days, don't film, just relax. And I will listen to you on that. But I am just going to take it kind of like light the next couple days. And I don't know, like, maybe Monday I'll end up filming, I'll get up and I'll feel great and I want to film on all of my channels. You know, Alex is at work on Monday. But I think, like, I don't even really know what I'm saying on this video today. I feel like I'm just kind of like talking out loud, but I think it's hard to not experience loss and then look at the rest of your life and be like, have that be a reflection of your own life. What do you want your life to be about? What do you want it to look like? Like, the moments that I'm like, I was so happy last night when I was walking last night, listening to music and then listening to the audiobook. And I came back and I was like listening to my audiobook while I was like cleaning up and doing stuff around the house. And, you know, then I took like a hot shower and put on cozy pajamas and I watched a show last night. I finished that season 1 of The Head. It is so good. I'm going to start season 2 tonight. You know, Tanya was telling me about all these different documentaries to watch. I talked to her. You know, it's like, there are so many moments throughout the day that I am happy. I feel blessed. I get to live. I don't know. I think that's the other thing too, is choosing to live more in the positive. Than I'm somebody that I've always been this way. And I think it's part of being, you know, born an addict and an alcoholic, and I believe that I was, is that I see the glass as half empty instead of half full. I have got to live my life focusing and paying attention to the positive, which is all of you guys out there that are so supportive and kind and loving of me. I really, really appreciate it. And focusing and not borrowing trouble. You know, I'm somebody that, I talk about this all the time in my Peter's videos. I'm very good at borrowing trouble, you know, and living in fear and worry and things like that. What good does it do? You know, it's like my old sponsor that passed away used to say to me, 90% of the things you worry about never even happen, you know? With the time that I have left here, I want to live the best life possible. And I want you guys to as well. And I think that living a life of intention, it doesn't mean that you have to, like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day and they said something about, I think I shared this on here, and they said something about, like, I always thought that I was supposed to live like an important life. Like, I was supposed to do important things. And I said, why do you feel like raising your daughter and like being at home and like cooking, like, that's not important? Like, that's vital, right? Like, there's people in other parts of the world that would dream for what you have. There's people that I know that are like, Peter, I wish I had your life, you know? I get that. I understand that. It's not like I have the most amazing, exotic life in the entire world. when I see other people's lives, those amazing exotic lives are not the ones that I want. You know, when people have like cozy houses and they're sitting there, those are the ones that I like, you know? I don't know, lots to think about. As you can see, I'm like really in my head today. This is why I film a lot of videos, because if I don't film a lot of videos, I'm in my head today. So, anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble. I have no idea what this is about, but yeah. And I'm really happy that Nikki is home and that she gets to be with her kids. She really missed her kids a lot and her husband. And I'm really hopeful about the next year. I really am. There was a period where I didn't feel that way. I feel very hopeful. Personally, I feel very hopeful. I'm excited. I'm excited about a lot. I want to be more spontaneous in 2025. I want to go with the flow a little bit more in 2025. You know, it was funny because my mother-in-law was telling Caroline the other night, she was like, Peter was dancing the most, and he was singing all the songs the other night, you know, at Christmas and whatever, and Caroline's like, he's always that person. Like, I want to be more of that person, you know? I want to step into life, like I've talked about this before, like eating a juicy pear with the juice just coming down my chin. That's what I want my life to look like in 2025. I just want to take a bite out of life and live the best life I possibly can, you know? I think there's always going to be a certain amount of fear and worry in our lives. I don't want to be consumed with it anymore. I don't want to be consumed with all of this stuff. I want to remember the people from my past, but not be stuck in the past. I want to live the best life I possibly can, make new memories, enjoy the present, and live, you know, as much as I possibly can. My neighbor just like literally just like pulled out of his driveway, turned around, and came back. And I want to live in the pool as much as I possibly can this summer. From the moment that pool opens, I'm in it all summer long. Anyway, all right, I'm going to get off here now. I'm going to go get this up. I'm going to go for my walk tonight. I'm going to finish. So this is my plan. I'm going to finish the Mischief book, whatever it is. It's about the mom's making the world's biggest gingerbread cookie. Did y'all read it? The Christmas Tree Farm Mystery? I have to, I know it's after Christmas, but I have to finish it. It's the 5th one. Hold on, what's it called? I'll Be Home for Mischief. I have an hour and 54 minutes left of it. So when I finish that one, then I'm going to listen to the Paula Hawkins book. Oh, last night I also read my 30 pages of a Go Ask Alice. I think I read like 40 pages, actually. So hopefully finish Go Ask Alice. Okay, I will say this. I was talking about Go Ask Alice yesterday. I'm like really into it. If you haven't read it, they're like in San Francisco, her and her friend Chris now. So, did I just ruin it for you? It's been out since 1971. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I ruined it for you. But I don't really remember this part of the book that well. But like, it's so weird because there's like no character building of Alice whatsoever. Nobody ever calls her Alice, first of all. I think Alice is like her made up name. You don't really ever know what her name is in the book, but nobody ever calls her Alice. Like, she doesn't say like, oh, my name is Alice or anything like that. But anyway, is Go Ask Alice a reference to Alice in Wonderland? Maybe it is in the book, and I'm not there yet. I don't remember. But anyway, I'm like really weirdly, like, I totally understand now why I was so into this book when I read it, like I think it was in junior high or high school, when I first read it. Like, I'm so into this story. I mean, it is, okay, it starts off, well, first of all, now I kind of understand why she writes so cheesy at the beginning. Like, Beatrice Sparks, who's the writer for Go Ask Alice, at the beginning of it, she's like, oh, dearest diary, you are forever my best friend. How will I ever get over how much she repeats words all the time, first of all. Like, she's like, how will I ever get how much I love Raymond. He is the bestest boy with the most perfect polite behavior. But then, okay, what happens is, she starts doing drugs and getting real hippy-dippy, and so she like irons her hair and all this kind of stuff, and so then she's like dropping the mans to her dad and stuff like that. She's like, man, you need to leave me alone, man. And so then her language in her journal totally changes from all of this like totally polite writing to like, man, we're like he's trying to get it and all this. It's like, it totally changes. But what's so funny about it is, I don't know how I ever believed that this was a real journal to begin with, but I am so into it. Like, do you want to talk about page turner? Like, I'm literally like page turning this thing. Like, it is so good. It is so, what is that? That over there? Is somebody walking down the street with like a flashlight or something like that? Oh, they are, yeah. I was like, what is going on? This light is all over the place. It's like this woman with this flashlight. But anyway, so I'm going to go get my walk, and I'm going to finish the Christmas Tree Farm mystery. 'Twas the Night Before Mischief. And All Through the House. And then the Paula Hawkins book, The Bluest Hour, because that was my November book for Peter's Book Club. And then oh my God, all these people are walking down. And then I'm caught up with all the Peter's Book Club books. And then, I don't know what I'm going to start after that, Audible-wise. But hoping to finish that before New Year's. And then finish Go Ask Alice. And then I'm also trying to finish that Ruby, that's not the name. Milk and Honey, that poetry book. I'm halfway through that. So I was like, I'm going to finish that one too. I don't really know what to think about that. Did you guys read that, Milk and Honey? I mean, it was like on the bestseller list forever. Okay, there's parts of it that I love, and there's parts of it that I don't understand. I mean, it's all poetry. It's beautiful. Like, the poetry is beautiful, but it's very vulnerable. It's very, like, I mean, it is. I bought all her other books because I loved it so much when I first started reading it. It's a hard read. It's that raw and vulnerable. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot about stuff. I mean, she's pretty open about stuff. But anyway, so I want to finish that book as well. Because I have, like, all these books that I'm, like, halfway through, those are the books that I'm going to first. So starting in January, well, the Reese Witherspoon book, County of Crows, or whatever that book is called, I'm going to start that over at the beginning. But then the short story collections, the Jill McCorkle, Crash Diet, and the Raymond Carver, what's that book called? What we talk about when we talk about love. Like, I'm going to just start where I'm at, and then I'm going to read like a chapter a night of those and finish those in January. But I'm going to get all those other books done. Oh, and Maximum Ride I want to finish before January 1st too. And so then I'll probably even out right at 50 books for the year. And then I have to make my Goodreads goal for next year. So tonight, just relaxation. Alex was watching, he was going to watch some show or something. I think he needs a break from All Rise. None of the Housewives or anything were on this week, he said. He said they weren't on. I thought I was going to go in last night and look, and I forgot to do that. Elsbeth wasn't on this week. So I don't really have any shows to watch until tomorrow night, Sister Wives. And then somebody said that Sister Wives wasn't on tomorrow night. Is Sister Wives like on a break? Does anybody know? Because somebody commented on my video and said, Peter, Sister Wives is not on tomorrow night. But I read that Sister Wives it was not on last week, and it was returning this week. Does anybody know? That will completely change my watching history. This is so weird. It kind of feels like a Tuesday night because Alex is just inside and he's just like watching TV, and that's what we did yesterday too. So, all right, well, I'm going to go get this rendered so that I can start uploading this. Thank you guys for listening to my rambling thoughts tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the prayers and kind words for Nikki and stuff like that. See, every time I vlog, I always start off like feeling so like off, and when I started this vlog, I was like, I think I'm just going to vlog for the next 2 days. I just kind of need to take care of myself and just like relax, watch TV, read books and stuff. That's really what I wanted to say. That would have been a 5-minute vlog, wouldn't it? I should have just said that, you know, instead of all of everything else that I said. But by the end of the vlog, I always feel so much better. I do. Like, this really is cathartic for me. It really is like journaling. I don't know. I'm not big into journaling anymore. But maybe this is my journaling for me. I don't know. Yeah, these candles have no scent whatsoever. This is my biggest disappointment in 2024 is these candles, our own candle company. I used to love them. No scent whatsoever. Don't buy them. That's my review. Anyway, I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Saturday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.